Thank you, Margaret. And how's the sound right now?
Good.
It's good? Great. And many thanks to the Tree Series for hosting us, the four of us, trooping across Canada as we are. And thanks to all of you for coming, friends and family. It's really nice to see everybody here. It's great to be reading in Ottawa, especially because this book is about the Lake of Two Mountains, which is part of the Ottawa River system. I'm going to dedicate this reading to my sister Donna. Yeah. I love this lake. It was where I spent my childhood summers. So I have written this whole book as a poem, a love poem really, for this lake. And I'll begin with a poem that's called Call and Response. And it borrows a little bit from the Catholic Mass, which operates in lots of it in call and response mode, and also the way that the natural world operates is by call and response, some kind of feedback loop. The lighting. Call and response. The Canadian shield calls to the fault in Temiskaming Lake. The shield shelters more than half the land. The fault, tectonic, replies with the Ottawa River, whose waters run east and spread at the place of two mountains, becoming lake. In this way, the lake is of lake, song of song, de montagne out of Temiskaming. The lake there, at the two mountains, calls to the trees near and around, riparian trees on rocky shores and the terrestrials within 2 miles of the shore. Perpetual loop, one verse, then the other, connecting trees to the sand, the orthic, melanic, brunasol soil, tree canopies, consolations of climate, the way birds in the morning define the new day, call sunrise from night. The trees call to each other their own names, sugar maple, hickory, eastern white pine. Black willow chants the alphabets of green ash, yellow birch calls to red maple, choke cherry to beech. They bear multiple names, formal, scientific, common French, and the names that are Mohawk, and no names at all. Their calls travel through air, water, through earth, sedges and shrubs, algae and cumulus clouds, all conversing. Rocks and black leeches, sturgeon, green frogs, limestone, and vascular plants. How does the sky reply when silverback leaves tug at the wind, blocking the passage to sea? Clouds ring with rain, and the lake lifts small pewter washes in rows of applause. What listens to sugar maple's clear amber flow, rays, yellow and cold. Fine beads of drizzle hiss the filigreed ice. What answers cloud flood cover drowning hickory knees, clay or silt, till or clay loam, sap in the spring. Sugar maple is always and in all places attentive, alert for replies from the open terrain. The soil, fine or sandy, alluvial, measures the length of flood time in spring, speaks a name to the climate, the warmest in the whole province. Call and response, a dominant tree, Acer saccharum, a sweetness that humans tap into. And this next poem is from a child's perspective and how a child meets its environment. and it's called How Own a Lake. A child begins owning the lake, its lifting haunt in morning, its sun-slapped birds, begins to own the rug that coats evening, sunsets hinged behind the gap to the west, begins owning the islet that floats offshore, boulder pinned. She upends smaller stones, plucks innocent snails. She claims the islet's frogs and the rivets of frogs, moves the stirring lumps, owns the waves and the far shore that looses them, owns water lilies bobbing beneath the far end bridge, yards them out, lays them in layers on the rowboat's wet floor. She owns water weeds that yank at her feet, tadpoles budding, which she collects, black leeches, which she salts. And the monastery across the lake, which she cannot see, does she own it as well? And the reservation across the lake, completely unknown. The duck blind near the point, she claims, and lapping sounds, and darning needles switching blue, and rapiers of grass, the briny pong, the smart of slime that chokes the small elbowed bay. And the lake. The lake begins owning the child, carves its winged shape into her young greenstick bones, into places there where holiness will soak, and a loneliness she can't hope to shake. The next poem is called Weather Wind, and it begins with an epigraph by Don Demansky. I walk on ghosts, apparitional gatherings carry me along. It's about memory. The night you lost your parents, it was evening first, summer, maybe August. Parts are missing. The length of the shadows, the mileage from Fran's house to yours, missing or never known. How you got home, why the doors were all locked, darkness inking inside and outside your body. You were 9, but even your age. Or if that night the bullfrogs made any sound, whether your dead grandmother hovered in front of or behind the outer screen door, the kitchen window streaked, reflecting. You said goodbye, leaving Fran's house, light hanging by threads. You ran the road, evening wind picking up, but even the wind, or if maple leaves bled to black, if trees began hemming the road, or if you wore nothing at all on your arms. You knew only the night, something lost, whether wind or black leaves, whether you found them or were found, whether either is true. I wrote a series of poems that I called Monastic Life to sort of imagine the life in the Trappist monastery that was on the north shore of this lake. And this one is called Monastic Life 4. The Trappist monastery, I have to say, was an agricultural monastery, and they were mostly silent. And so this reflects the agricultural part of the monks' lives. Monastic Life 4. It resides with honeybees, rows of hives along wire fences to the west, each queen drowsing in the jellied center of a world. Bless each queen, that she survives the freeze, that she recites sweet piping sounds in spring as icicles release the sun. Bless the orchard trees as they hold up their plain gray twigs. Fields of clover one day will levitate, hover in July's keening light. Bless the workers too, dull huddled in their combs, that they remember flight, uncup their double wings against leftover cold. Bless each monk who dreams of honey, pantry light, stolen to illuminate dim winter shelves. They are praying for forgiveness and for blossoms to burst April buds. I wrote a couple of poems about the lake. This one's called Lake 2. Drawing cowls of quiet around uncertain space, sinking through pebbles and coarse grains of sand, no sound. It spreads into grass, lies flat for seasons, timeless, hovering even at shore. A presentiment, a mirage, shape-shifting mesmer, holding the surrounding rocks in place through reverence alone. The air above claims no geography. The lake needs nothing but river's brown mouth, solitary, quiet as the dragonfly that quilts nimbused gloss, as the eel that ribbons the squelch, as unlit fish surveying beneath cirrused weeds. Even when shirred, when breezes scoop atoms of foam, even when the world slants with rain and with wind, the lake won't complain. White noise alone, nothing the ear can locate. Even in early morning, when heron spears frog, no sound will ring out. We used to spend summers there with my mother's family, her brother and two sisters. And this poem is for my Uncle Bobby, who lived at the cottage from time to time. He spent the war years in Europe as a foot soldier, and when he returned, he seemed kind of lost. It's called How Mend the Years. Let him sit on the beach, my uncle, in his lawn chair that folds like a stork, aluminum and shredded blue webbing, glass of Labatt's in his hand. Let him unreel the past on the waves, psalms, pastures and lilies, the cosmos blooming, stargazing, a blur he almost can feel, made one with what he is seeing, lake and the line between water and sky. Let him hum without tune. He spools thin lines of bliss as if fishing, hitching this place to the quiet promise of peace, geography's comforting shape, this bluish-brown water, this meniscus, parasol sky, moving, unmoving, unhurried as prehistorical time. Let him memorize the lake's surface, find in what he sees there something that mends. And I'm going to finish with a poem called Sun Going Down. 9 o'clock, the hour of the sun going down, listing to the south. The drowsing dark lake shushes itself on the shore, divinity lingering this way. 9 o'clock, the hour of fox on the move, hour of closing, the sky closing over, heat losing its hold. Fox stealing slow as the sun going down to the shore, looking for fish. Thank you.